In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Welcome to In the Tunnel. My name is Jeremy Eskovitz.
And I'm Sean.
We're talking playoff hockey, Stanley Cup Finals. We're talking NBA Finals, and we are talking baseball. Today is June 7th, 2018. We're recording tonight on Wednesday night, June 6th. And let's get into it, Sean.
Yeah, so first things first, the Capitals have a 3-1 series lead on the Knights, who have been playing some pretty poor defense.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the luxury of being able to watch all the games, but it seems like whatever they were doing, they had such low scoring affairs, or not the Knights specifically, but the Knights were preventing so many opponents in the playoffs and even in the regular season from scoring high amounts of goals that it's just really weird to see that it's fall at this point in the season. You know, they had such a great run. They really limited Winnipeg in the last round, and now it's just it looks like a struggle, and you start to wonder if it's a fluke.
I mean, I don't think it's a fluke per se, it's just the Capitals getting the better of them, because they do play like the same style, kind of, where the Capitals look to transition and beat the defense on odd man rushes, which is what they do.
Yeah, no, you're right, absolutely. But you know, it's weird that teams have failed really to adapt to the Capitals' transition game. You know, they've gotten a lot of odd man rushes and fast break chances against opponents for a few rounds now. The Lightning, the Knights, the Penguins, and seemingly it's just too much firepower to be able to slow down. And really, it's turning into the Achilles heels of how do you stop that, because you know, Vegas has had momentum in some of these games, but it doesn't sustain itself long enough to build leads outside of what happened in Game 1. And even Game 1, their momentum was spotty, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just how the Capitals play, though. They play a transition game that's meant to disrupt momentum, right?
Yeah,
so,
and they've got Holtby standing on his head, so
yeah.
Between those two, you know, that's a pretty damn good combination. And, you know, we were saying the same thing, well, maybe not so much to the idea of transition gameplay for the Knights. You know, Fleury was doing remarkably in the Western Conference, and now and he's still doing well. I don't think that we can, or you can blame him, so to speak, for all the mistakes, because it seems to be the defense in front of him that's struggling more than anything else.
Yeah, I do think that the defense has to take their fair share of that blame. I mean, I think the Capitals have found his weakness a little bit, but I don't really blame that on Fleury. I still think he's playing pretty well.
Yeah. What's his weakness been this year?
I mean, it's more of really in the playoffs, right? Just having good puck movement, forcing him to move side to side really quickly does tend to get him in these playoffs. When you see him let in a goal, it's never like if Fleury sets, he 99% of the time he'll make that stop. If you have him moving side to side even a little bit, you have such a better chance.
Yeah, you see him when he has to flop around, he doesn't really do too well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's any goalie, though, when they start to scramble, but I really think that if you want a good first chance on Fleury, you have to play that like touch and go type of game where you keep cycling the puck until you just catch him being like a second or half split second too late on the reaction to go side to side.
Yeah. Flurry is very much a land creature and not so much agile in the sea, so to speak, metaphorically. He's a flopping fish. Which is very. Or maybe I got the metaphor backwards. Now that I think about it, it was a good idea in the moment. Yeah, fish on water not so well. Fish in ocean does great. There we go. Took a second. Yeah, but he's obviously had worse postseason, so I'm very hesitant to say it's on him as a fan of his abilities. And I think we both have been saying are in unison that it's not his fault. He could be playing better, but it's also talk like sustaining pressure. Like Vegas isn't converting when they have the small amount of opportunities where they are sustaining pressure.
Yeah, it's like I mean, they do convert on the power play like pretty well, but aside from that, like when you have the puck in their zone, make them work, man.
Yeah, it's like it's unfortunate because you can't. If you're Vegas, you can't just hope that you're going to get like 8 power play chances and win a 4-3 game. It's just not realistically going to happen, and also it's just wild that like they get these chances where they're not a transition team like Washington, so they can sustain the puck in the offensive zone for a while and not put the puck in the net, and then Washington will just have a 2-on-1 odd man rusher, just a quick chance the other way, and they'll bury it, and it's a killer. It's demoralizing, and it's hard for them at the Vegas Knights to overcome that kind of stuff because like if it looks so easy for Washington, and if it's like climbing a mountain for Vegas to put it in the back of the net, and the game wears on.
I think that's their style, though. They are more of the setup team. It's just they need to find the right cycle, I guess, to get it to work. They need to look for the correct screens and just keep playing their game.
Right. And again, that's assuming that they get that pressure.
I mean, I think they have gotten some pressure every game.
Like, but is it enough to outscore the Capitals?
I think so. I mean, because if you looked at the previous game, the Capitals just won 3-1, right?
I thought it was like 6-2.
Or no, the game before that. The game before that.
Yeah, game 2 was 3-2.
Game 3 was 3-1, though, was it not?
Yeah, I'm sorry. And game 4 was 6-2.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Game 3 was 3-1, right? And if you look at that, right, the Capitals got held to no goals in the first period, and I mean, over the first 30 minutes of play, holding the Capitals like that's what they need to do. And I still think they had some chances in there. They weren't converting. The Capitals looked really dominant too. It was what you want to see is like they were not really out of that game even after they went down 2-0.
Right, we're talking in game 3.
Game 3, June 2nd.
Okay.
And so I just think that they need to, I don't know what, like shuffle the lines or just shuffle your defensive pairings. They need to wake their team up and play their game. Because, I mean, they do have the chances. They're getting a lot of shots off on all the games. So, like, it's just up to them to play to their level.
I'll ask you this. Is it too late to change the lines now that they're facing elimination, or losing the series, I should say?
I
Is
mean,
it too late? Because we've
okay,
talked
hold on.
about.
But the thing is, if you're Gerard Gallant, you're in a lose-lose situation, right? You don't change the lines, the same thing happens, and you lose. You just lost in 5, right?
Mhm.
You do change the lines, it crashes and burns, and you lose. You're still gonna get blamed.
Right.
I'm not even saying that changing the lines is the right thing to do. I'm just saying he needs to do something that will
You
wake
need
his
the
team up.
yeah, you need the jump
And
start, but
and even like a small line change, like take one of the guys who's been really working hard on like the third or fourth line, throw him up to like the second line, even just throw some life into one of the lines, because that's really all it takes. I'm not saying like change the entire first line and the entire second line. No, I'm just saying even one guy and just flip him with another if he's been playing above what you expected.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying because we've sat here and we've asked the question in earlier rounds with goaltender changes, like,
But
was it too late in the series to change it up?
But I mean, even at this point, you're not changing Flurry. There's nobody in your system that can handle a Game 7 like atmosphere for your team than Flurry.
Well, no, I'm not saying goaltender change. I'm just saying, in terms of like consistency.
But I mean, they have like the thing is, right? They've been consistent all playoffs, but not now. And as a coach, you have to adapt, right? So I don't care what you do, something has to change, whether it's visible to us and really obvious, or invisible to us and in the background.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And maybe that comes down to the gameplay strategy, like you were talking about.
But
Finding different cycles and different screens.
yeah, but the thing is, right? I mean, I haven't been. The games are kind of late for us, right? So I haven't been paying attention to the games on full.
Hmm.
I think they're doing the right thing. It's not like a strategy game. It's more of they need to find people who like they're not all seeing the ice the same way it feels.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think they're doing like what they need to do, and they when they have opportunities, they're not going through. So because I feel like the team as a whole understands. So I don't think that moving somebody from the bottom 2 lines to one of the top 2 lines is going to throw off that line synergy. It's
All right,
just
maybe it brings a more defensive game plan approach to an elimination game.
yeah, but you
Like
can't be
it.
if I was a coach, I'm not being defensive in an elimination game, especially in the Stanley Cup. Because if you're defensive, that means you let one goal in and you're done. If you keep attacking, you say, all right, we let a goal in, but let's just keep pushing.
I mean, that's fine, but you just gave up 6 to Washington in the last game. So I think one of the main things you have to do, and this is just like obvious, is don't let history repeat itself and let that happen again. I'm not saying it will, but like you
I
have
mean,
to
I agree
make an
with you,
extra effort.
but I don't think you can take the last game by itself. Right?
Oh no,
You have to.
absolutely not. It's a series for a reason.
It is a series for a reason, and so you can't just react to the last game. If you do that, you're probably setting up yourself for failure.
No, you're right.
But if you react to the series, and in the series as a whole, aside from game 1, which I'm pretty sure the Knights had like 2 power play goals and all those other.
Yeah, those other just capitalizing in front of the net kind of
Exactly.
opportunities.
So, aside from game 1, I think games 2 and 3 looked the same. Game 4 was kind of a blowout, but they still played out in the same way to an extent.
Yeah, no, my big observation for those games 2, 3, and 4, it was the Capitals were just dominating the first period in all 3 of those games, and not in terms of shots, but in terms of converting.
Yeah, but you have to look like, I mean, in game 3? They were held scoreless in the first. In game 2, they were held to 1 goal. Was it? Yeah, they were held at 1-1, right? So I don't think
maybe it's been a while.
game 2 they were held at 1-1. I don't think it's the first period that really is the problem.
Okay, so
I mean, because
other than disproving what I've said.
well, but the only time in which the Knights had a large disadvantage coming out of the first was game 4.
Hey, that's when I made my note.
But aside from that, right? Because even in game 1, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was tied coming out of the first. I really think it is closer to the middle of the game because sure the Capitals can come out strong, but if you're the Capitals, you're like, we want to play a solid 60 minutes. If you're the Knights, you're like they're gonna come out strong, and we want to be able to basically keep with them in the first, and get to them and play our game, and just beat them our way through the second. Because I feel like the game really starts dividing in the second, and you can basically tell who wins by then in this series.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crucial. How you play the third period, but a lot of the scoring seems to be done in the finals before then.
Yeah.
So it's all about maintaining a lead in the finals in the third period, and that kind of ties back to what you said. Is Washington, not the first period, but has done better jobs in the second period.
Yeah, they've kept pace, and they haven't let up, right? So
yeah, no, you're right.
That's the Golden Knights are looking to disrupt that in their game 5, which will be today, which would be Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursday night.
And the Capitals are looking to keep doing what they've been doing, which is come out strong first and second and ride it to the finish.
So you do admit it has been in the first tip?
Well, no, I'm saying they come out strong in the first. But I'm saying, because both teams seem, in my opinion, both teams seem really even in the first. But the Capitals keep it through the second, which carries them to the finish. That's what I've been saying.
I'm dying on this hill.
Okay.
Until I watch the game and can differentiate on what my opinion has and will be, I'm sticking with what I've said.
All right, but what do you think for the rest of the games of the series if there are more than one?
Well, I'm still pulling for Vegas. I don't think it's as realistic as I want it to be.
Okay, but do you think they're going to get to Game 7 and win, or do you think? What do you like? I want what's your actual opinion. The end of the series, what would be the final series score?
I think it's going to be Caps in 6, but if the Caps lose Game 6, it's going to be Vegas in 7.
Okay, I think
because it would be the most DC or Capitals thing to do is to drop the clincher Game 5 and the clincher Game 6, and then at that point have nothing left in the tank to rally it back in and win Game 7.
So I think the Knights. I think the Knights can win Game 5 because they're home. But I think Capitals will take it in 6 at home.
Yeah. I think that there's too many opportunities for them to win the cup at this point than there is for them to choke and lose it.
Yeah.
It's hard for them the way that they've played this postseason. Because remember, they were down in their first round matchup to Columbus 2-0, and then just fully scorched the Blue Jackets the rest of that round. It doesn't really. So this postseason has been different, right from the get-go in terms of handling series deficits and series leads, beating the teams that they weren't supposed to. It just, when you put it all together, it doesn't seem like they're going to fall.
Yeah, That's what I agree with that. So
I'm not ready for a world where the
Ovechkin has a
Capitals are
cup.
champions. I mean, look, until he gets to 3, we still really don't have a lot to talk about.
I
And-
mean, at least he has one, and then all that Hall of Fame talk can finally get put to rest.
but he, not my Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm not talking about your Hall of Fame. I'm talking about the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Hey, well, you're not in my Hall of Fame either. Then, Sean, how do you feel about that?
I don't care.
Well, you say that now. You just get a little bit more time to reflect. I bet you'll change your tune.
Okay, whatever you say.
What if my Hall of Fame has a special department for computer science?
I don't care.
Okay, then you don't get a statue either.
Alright, that's fine with me. I don't need one.
Oh, why? Because it's not made out of codes? Yeah, you can get roasted.
Alright, so I think we've exhausted our NHL talk, so
Well, I think Ovechkin's going to make the Hall of Fame either way. I don't think
Well,
there's ever any debate about that. He's got over he's got over 500 goals.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying all the people who say he shouldn't because he doesn't have a cup will finally get to,
Yeah, all the Russian judges, no pun intended, will have to take a seat.
yeah.
You got it.
Yep. Yeah,
That was
but
good.
that's all I'm saying is that finally people can just stop arguing about, oh, he doesn't have a cup, he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, his stats say enough.
Yeah, we can all finally agree that Alexander Ovechkin, based on stats, will make the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Alright, so anyway, let's move on
that
to
was
the
good.
NBA.
Yes, that's because there's so many exciting things going on in the world of basket something. Although, I wish that we could have recorded after game 1 because that was just the funniest. That game should have been on Comedy Central because it was just, the way it ended was just so damn funny.
Really?
Well, the game 1 was the one where the Cavs didn't, or J.R. Smith didn't know that the Cavs were only tied with the Warriors. That he thought that they were up 1 or something.
Uh-huh.
So he got the rebound. He just dribbled with the ball for the last 7 seconds on the clock. Didn't realize that they had a chance to shoot for the win. Passed the ball to George Hill, the guy who missed the second free throw that would have put them up 1 point, and they barely got a shot off, and I think it got blocked or wasn't ever close to getting into the hoop.
Oh, okay.
And so that game went to overtime.
And they lost
and then-
by 10.
Yeah, but then in the timeout, commercial break timeout between the end of regulation and start of overtime, we found out a day later a video came out of the Cavs walking back to the bench, and well, wouldn't you know, they had a timeout that they didn't use in the situation.
Oh my
That they could have taken the final shot, and even with the biggest blunder, their head coach or LeBron or somebody could have called timeout, gave them a chance to shoot for the win, and just nobody did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the biggest blunder since probably the college basketball Chris Webber timeout when they didn't have one.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
This is just the reverse of that. It's
Yep.
trying to set yourself up for a chance to win and not having the timeout versus not setting yourself up to win with the timeout. So yeah, it was really funny. And look, I was like J.R. Smith. I thought that the Cavs had the lead, but mostly because I was just listening to the game and I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom at the time. And actually, no, I thought that the Cavs were down 1. I still didn't understand why they didn't shoot the ball.
Huh. Well,
But it was funny as hell.
Yeah.
That was probably the one game that the Cavs, if they won it, they would have had like a chance to win the series because it was like they already stole a game on Golden State's home court, and obviously in overtime they blew that chance. The door blew open, and Golden State came in. And then game two, Golden State, I don't think ever was losing that game.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it
they
wasn't
won
the
pretty
biggest
handily.
of, yeah, it wasn't the biggest of blowouts, but it stayed within that same margin of like 18 points the whole time.
Yeah. So I mean, I followed that game. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they had the lead the entire game almost. Aside,
Yeah, it's safe to assume on that one.
yeah. So I mean, the Cavs really need to show up at home, right?
Yeah, this is I still think that the Cavs will win one. It's just really hard unless you're the Raptors to get swept in the postseason. So I think that the Cavs will at least take one, but I don't see them taking more than two in the series. I still maintain the belief that this is the worst team to make a finals just based on roster in a long time.
All right. I mean, I can see that.
I mean, look, dude. Kevin Love barely cleared the concussion protocol to play in Game 1, and he really hasn't been anything special in his time with the Cavs. And then LeBron's been, carrying the load for most of the year and all the playoffs.
Isn't that what he does? He's paid to do that.
I mean, but he hasn't always had to do that. With the roster around him, when he had like Kyrie and he had some of those other guys, those solidified veterans who were in their later years, those veterans who aren't there now, it's like they would chip in and play good, and those role players lived up to their roles. And this year they just don't have any of that. They don't have the Kyrie option. They don't have the role players who do their jobs well. So it's really just LeBron and whoever they put out on the court with him. But there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. There's definitely a difference, and you can clearly see it, in my opinion. And I don't even watch basketball that much.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's it's a 4-round playoff.
I mean,
and I don't think LeBron's got the gas to get it all done himself.
I don't think it's going past 5 games.
Yeah, like gentleman's sweep. Like I think we both. I know you hate the term, but like I think we both are in unison that like that's just how it's gonna go down. Like it's gonna be hard for them to get swept, but it's gonna be really hard for them to win it.
Win more than one.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would be like, oh, you got your throw-in, you got your throwaway game. And I think probably Game 3 tonight, Wednesday night, is probably going to be their best chance at winning that game because they're at home. A little bit of a momentum change in front of the fans. But I think once the Warriors adapt to it, and again, we've had this matchup for 4 straight years now, it really shouldn't take that long. But with the amount of time in terms of days that they're putting in between the games, I think that Game 4 is like basically a neutral site game in terms of the Warriors being prepared for it. Yeah. I think Cleveland's best chance to win a game is tonight. If they can't do it tonight, it's I'd say like 70% chance it's a sweep.
Yeah.
Unless Cleveland pulls out some miracle in Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like they need to do it tonight. Because if they don't show up tonight, the Warriors are just going to be more ready for Game 4 in an away crowd.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make dumb mistakes.
I think the biggest thing right now is I don't think LeBron cares too much about this because he may be leaving the Cavs at the end of the year anyway, but
I mean, yeah.
If they get swept and to have the trophy ceremony in Cleveland on that court would probably be a stinger. Because I think when both the Warriors won and when the Cavs won, it was in Oakland.
Yeah.
I don't think that any of them have ended on Cleveland's home court.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That would be a little interesting, is if it all went down in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to see it happen. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it
ready
would
to
be.
see LeBron lose.
Haven't we seen that already?
It's like a good movie, man. You can't see it enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Although the matchup itself, I've seen it enough.
Oh, more than enough.
Oh man, when's the NBA gonna get good again? This. Oh, but I just want to talk about how much of a baby LeBron is too. Not that I haven't been already, but that video that came out of the timeout, it was LeBron sitting a few chairs away from everybody when he found out that they had the timeout and didn't call it, and then he just stuck a towel on his head, put his head down, and just for like 2 straight minutes during the media timeout, just like didn't talk to anybody. It's like, way to be the captain of your team and like have everybody's back and like show leadership.
I mean,
it's like, no, I'll just bury my head in a towel.
Shouldn't he know how many timeouts they have?
Well, I mean, look, man, he's the GM. The GM doesn't coach on the floor. Although he is also the coach. Tyronn Lue's the assistant coach. But the assistant coach probably should have been like, okay, let's get that one called.
I mean, there are a lot of places, like, the coach should have known he had a timeout, and the players should know how many timeouts they have, how many stops they have left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's LeBron's fault, but I'm not saying it's not. He can't take any of the blame for it. I think everybody on that team should have known there's a timeout left.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You got to run through your scenarios, especially when you have a guy shooting free throws with the chance to take the lead. Look, man, I don't remember like rec basketball games where it wasn't communicated like, okay, if this doesn't happen, what are we going to do? You don't need a timeout to be called. When someone's shooting free throws, there's enough time in between the free throws with everybody's set routines that you can like have an idea of what to do if they miss that second shot. And just to have absolutely nothing was, wow, it showed how bad the Cavs are.
But I mean, not really the fact that they had absolutely nothing. It's the fact that JR didn't know, like, JR just took the ball. He didn't even know what the score was, nor did he know that they had a timeout.
Okay, well, hold on. For J.R. Smith to get an offensive rebound in itself is like a game changer, because that's just words in a sentence that don't exist.
It doesn't
so the fact
matter.
that it happened,
It doesn't matter.
Like, I can understand why I didn't know what to do with the ball.
Anyway, it's more of JR, first of all, he got the ball, good for him. But the fact that he doesn't know what the score is, and that he doesn't know what the how many timeouts they have, is the biggest problem.
And I understand that, like, bad on him, but like, I'm just saying, watching J.R. Smith over the years of his NBA career, the words offensive rebound don't get associated with him. So I'm saying this whole sequence just is not of the norm, and that kind of sets up like the outcome is so uncommon start equals uncommon finish, and uncommon everything in between.
Yeah, but the other problem with this is the fact that nobody else on the team was like, we have a timeout, or pass the ball, shoot the ball, something. I understand it's the finals, so it's loud, but there are hand gestures.
And there's screens everywhere in the arena. There should have been someone yelling that one out. It's not like they didn't. It's not like they had like 1.3 seconds from offensive rebound
He literally just dribbled it for like 7-8 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They had plenty of time to, for that call to come from the sideline or to come from someone on the court, and it just never happened. It was just a big malfunction by everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's the finals. You can't afford to have those malfunctions, especially when you're A, the underdog, B, you're on the road, and C, it's a close game in the fourth quarter. It's like everything that could have went wrong did, and
Hold on.
On top of that, they lost.
You just played through a tournament to be one of the 2 best teams in the NBA, and you made that type of mistake. That is not acceptable of a finals team. That's
like a high school varsity or even maybe JV level mistake.
Try freshman.
And it, well, we made our high school basketball team. Yeah. It could have been varsity for Central. But yeah, like that's just, you're at the point where everybody's getting paid to do their job, and all you have to say is, hey, call timeout, and nobody does.
Freaking make a T with your hand. Come on, like even if it's
that's all you have to do to call one.
Yeah, but I mean, somebody just make a T or make some type of hand motion to tell somebody to do something. Like, you're all getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
To know what's going on in a game that has 48 minutes of playtime.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's what made it really funny. But getting back to it, because it was talking more along the lines of like LeBron being the baby he is, everybody gave him such credit for being such a great sport. He got poked in the eye, which is not fun, obviously. In that game 1, he goes up for a layup, gets hit in the eye, which I can understand. That's depending on how much damage it does, a limiting factor. But he comes back down to the ground, goes down to the ground and turtles. He curls up into a ball after being hit in the eye. He got hit in the eye and turtled like he just tore his ACL. And he was down for a good, 30, 45 seconds. It was so sad. This is the difference between basketball and hockey. In hockey, guys take pucks to the mouth and they'll just put, they'll leave and get stitches and then come back. When LeBron gets poked in the eye, is make sure to get the center of attention for a while.
Dude, no. In hockey, somebody gets fully laid out in center ice, they'll just get back up and continue their shift. In basketball, they got touched. Oh, I gotta do a 360 midair and land on my back, and then be hurt for 20 minutes.
Yeah, when flopping first came into being a popular wave in sports, boy, did we think it was bad when it first came in. It's now they're just finding new and improved ways to flop to oh, wow. Who knew that the body could contort like that? That's just wild. And it's well, it doesn't contort like that on purpose or by accident. It's fake. And it's just, I lose a lot of respect for the game of basketball. For guys who can't, you go into the paint, there's a certain expectation that you're not always going to land on your feet coming down. And these guys are oh, I got tapped on the shoulder. Why isn't that a foul? It's come on. I know that the game's not going to be the same as it was in the 90s, but actually be men. If you guys gotta be role models for kids. Don't let them be soft like that. You need a James Harrison type figure in basketball. No participation trophies. No, just be the best on the court and sell for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we gotta watch this stuff because we're creating this project and because it does have a larger fan base. So
Yeah.
And then like game 2, like we talked about, was more of the same. Game 3, I'll predict that this will be the most points that the Cavs score. I think they'll probably put up somewhere in the area of like 110, 115, and they'll somehow hold the Warriors to low 100s.
I think this game's going to be close. So I think you're going to see a win by like 5. Either way.
Yeah, it sounds realistic. No, I like that. I do think that this is the one game that the Cavs win.
All right. Yeah. Well, I hope the Cavs win just so there's an extra game and they don't get swept in the finals, because that would be terrible for a finals.
Although a part of me would love to see the Stanley Cup Finals go longer than the NBA Finals for once. Once, just because the Stanley Cup Finals started first, and if the NBA Finals finish that quickly, people might actually realize, for 5 minutes, like, wow, the NBA really is like just the same thing. Yeah, it's predictable. It's like it's so predictable that we started later and ended first. And it's not for lack of effort by the NBA. They've been putting like 3 days in between every game. So,
yeah.
It's.
I mean, so I think we've exhausted the NBA quite well.
Yeah.
So
it's probably one of the better jobs we've done with that.
Yeah. So let's move on to the new sport we're talking about this week. The MLB.
Yep.
Right, so this week we're going to focus on the AL and NL East. Just because there are so many games that are played weekly right now in the regular season, we figure it's easier just to go and focus specifically on two divisions, right? So
yeah,
let's jump right into it. So we're going to start with the AL East, and Boston is atop that division with a 42-19 record, followed by the Yankees, who are 1 game behind with a 39-18 record. Then the rest of the AL East, which doesn't matter because they're all like 14 games back or whatever.
Yep. I'll have to say for the AL East, it must be nice to be the Red Sox and Yankees, because it must be nice to have big-time payrolls to give to hitters and play in a hitter's ballpark for both those teams.
Yep.
The AL does not favor
pitchers at all.
Pitchers, yeah, exactly. So they both teams went so heavy. Red Sox got like J.D. Martinez, and I'm sure they signed other guys for big contracts. The Yankees got Stanton. And they have Judge, and it's like it must be nice. Look, these two teams this early in the season only have 19 and 18 losses respectively.
Yeah, I mean the Red Sox do have 4 more games played.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is really them versus. There is no versus the rest. The Rays, Blue Jays, and Orioles can make whatever runs they want. They're not catching these two teams.
I mean, the Orioles' record is almost the exact opposite of the Red Sox record. So
I mean, the Orioles are more games back, 23 games back, than either the Red Sox or Yankees have losses.
Yeah.
And you would need losses to catch up, and right now that's just not happening.
Yeah, so I mean, like, good luck to them, but they're not making it this year.
Basement dwellers. They're probably going to lose Machado after this year.
Probably.
And they better be in rebuild mode now, because it's going to be a while before they come back up.
Yeah.
Although they've had years where they have good free agent signings. I just don't know that there's going to be enough to keep everybody there, plus
I
pay
don't
the
think
big stars.
I don't think the record this year will attract many free agents.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Because I feel like a team that attracts free agents are ones on the cusp of making the playoffs or ones in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So
Or teams that make enough splash signings, like, the Red Sox can miss the playoffs for 2 straight years, and
but they're a huge market.
They are, but
They have the money.
it doesn't matter if they lose 5 straight years. There's enough cash there to, compensate for the losses.
You can thank the luxury tax salary cap for that one.
And, with those bloated contracts, you go to Boston, and Boston has a down year. There's no guarantee you won't be traded, and then you end up on a contender with your big contract anyway. So it doesn't always matter.
Yeah.
But as a Pirates fan, you'll never see Boston, trade a dude for $20 million a year to the Pirates.
I don't think so.
The day that we saw anybody on the Pirates got $20 million a year.
Yeah.
But no, it must be nice to be the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean the AL East is kind of straightforward. It's going to be a race, basically a battle between them two for the rest of the season.
Well, yeah, but there, I didn't put the wild card standings in our sheet, but you have to imagine whoever's not in first place is a wild improvement in the wild card.
Yeah, I mean,
like number one by a mile.
They are. I mean, number one by a mile. I don't know, but you have to imagine that both of these teams are making the playoffs definitely.
Yeah. There's probably a good chance that both Red Sox and Yankees, barring any meltdown, will clinch their respective playoff spots fairly early or in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just
mid-August.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say that whichever team doesn't win the division will be definitely first in the wild card. I mean, I do think there has to be another team that can at least, attempt to take it from them.
Right, I just don't know that, because we focus on the AL and NL East this week. Didn't take a look at other divisions to know if if the races are tight enough in those other divisions to say that if one team loses 5 games, they won't take themselves out of a spot.
I really do think
a chance at that spot.
I really do think it's too early to really discuss wild card standings because there's only 60 games played by most teams.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So they have 100 games left. So let's worry about wild card standings when those numbers are reversed.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. But the AL East is pretty
stacked.
It's easy to navigate
for the Yankees and Red Sox. They're pretty stacked. So yeah, that's what it's gonna look like the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll make a soundbite of you saying that the Yankees and Red Sox are stacked, and just play that back every year. 'Cause it'll be the same every year, whether they are 30 games under 500 or not.
So that means I just don't have to show up when we talk about the AL East anymore, because you can just replay this sound clip.
This is the first time we're talking baseball. You already don't want to show up again. It's going great.
Let's move on to the more fun, I guess, of the two.
Depending on, because we're both from New Jersey and we all know Mets fans, more fun if you're not a fan of a team in the division, more dramatic and hectic and nightmarish if you are a fan of a team in the division.
Yeah, but neither of us are fans of a team in that division, so it's fun.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Absolutely. Sorry, got lost in a daydream there.
So anyway, as of right now, Washington and Atlanta are tied for first, with Washington having a 35-25 record and Atlanta having a 36-26 record.
Mm-hmm.
followed by the Phillies, who are 2 games back, the Mets 7.5 games back, and Miami, who's 14 games back.
Yeah, Miami, I mean, they just went full sell mode before the year. There's nothing really to talk about there.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter is purposely running that team into the ground. And I don't know why you buy a team to lose money on it, but he will.
Hey.
It's the long run kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets, they had the best 10-game start in their franchise history.
Yeah, 9-1.
And then just absolutely
Crash
decided,
and burned.
Mets fans have had it too good for too long, and just flipped the switch, and they've been the dead horse that's been beaten up the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, literally,
it's moving, but not well.
I remember looking at it, and it was like the Yankees and the Mets got off to different starts, and then they just flip-flopped each other for a while, and the Yankees took their win streak and rolled with it, and the Mets just kept losing.
Mm-hmm. Sounds very New York sports to say.
Sounds very much like New York baseball every year.
Yep, exactly. It's not 2015 anymore.
Yeah. But anyway, the rest of, I'm actually kind of looking forward to see how, the top of this division, works out. Because I don't think, any of the, the way the teams are playing right now, I don't see, either any of the teams being a shoo-in for the wild card. I mean, they're obviously, whichever team doesn't make it's going to be contending for their wild card.
Yeah.
But
in competition for
I don't see this division I don't see a team in this division saying 2 teams in this division saying that are going to make the playoffs. I see this division sending maybe a second team if they're lucky, but I mean they obviously have to send one.
Yeah, I'd say if they send one, it's going to be the second team in the wild card.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously have to send their division winner. It's just, can the second place team be good enough to make that wild card spot?
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't really been paying attention to baseball too much, but the Braves have kind of been in the basement the past few years, and I didn't know that they made any moves to really get out of the basement this year. So to see them tied for first right now kind of surprises me. And I don't believe that it'll last. But I feel like they'll fall at some point.
I mean, I don't think this this division is definitely not like the AL, in which there is a clear top and bottom, right? This division has more like a middle and a bottom.
Yeah, because the Marlins will always be at the bottom.
Yeah, and then the Mets join them sometimes, and sometimes the Mets give you false hope and make the middle.
Yeah, well, the Mets don't want you to feel alone all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think the 3 teams that we see that are in the hunt right now, they're all gonna stay around there. I mean, I don't think any team's gonna get off to a really good winning streak. I think they're all gonna kind of hover around there. I don't think they're gonna win so many games that one of them's gonna break apart for the rest. And I don't think. I don't see these teams going on 10-game losing streak.
Yeah, but I also don't see the Phillies going on a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I see these the win percentages they have, and I'm that sounds like the NL East to me. They just keep 500 for the rest of the year, or maybe a little bit above 500. I feel like you're going to be looking at the Mets and Marlins being at the bottom, and then those 3 teams having close to those winning percentages around each other.
Yeah, the NL East is very much like in football, the NFC East, where you have the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles all going for a playoff spot, or they're all really bad, and one of them is 8-8 and gets a playoff spot. This is kind of how, the NL East is very much everybody's either doing pretty well or they're all doing middle of the road. and it'll just be the best of that middle of the road, and that's what it's looking like this year.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying is in the fact that like they all look middle of the road. So your division winner is probably gonna have like a 600 in their like win percent,
Yeah, if that.
if that. Yeah, so. But
It all
I mean, that
depends
makes
based on,
this division
streaks.
like fun because then at least it's like competitive. Because
Yeah.
like the second place team is definitely not guaranteed a wild card spot, so they're going to be fighting for that division win.
Yeah, we'll see. It's too soon to be talking wild card for sure.
Yeah.
But if we were to, that second spot, you have to think that one of these teams, if they get that second spot, will have to have that last spurt of their schedule where they just like roll through it with wins, and they might be like a team from this division might be the more deadly team that no one talks about going into it.
Yeah,
but again,
if they get hot enough at the end and can roll that through the playoffs, it's a one-game wild card, right? So
right.
that's
Right,
all it
but
takes.
The question, and the question becomes if any team in this division is capable of that role.
You never know, dude.
You never know.
I mean,
just
if you take
look.
out the Phillies, I think the Braves could probably do it, and the Nationals, they might be able to do a
I still
run.
think I think it's too soon to call what's going to happen with the Braves. I think it's too soon. After like the past 3 years of them like just not being in contention at all, it's so rare that you see in baseball that the build-up just happens in 1 year.
Yeah.
So I feel like at some point the wall's going to come down on that.
Fair enough.
I was surprised to see that the Braves are in the position that they're in. Just because to go from no contention to this, it's a nice solid step. I don't know it's the last step in the process just yet.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, if this is their future, then it'll be a nice, good couple of years. You hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you hope. It all depends on the age of the guys that they have and who they're building around. Because I'm pretty sure they have like some older pieces on that team, like Brandon Phillips, players like that who are like getting towards the end of their career and their productivity. So if you don't have prospects ready to take over those guys, your window is like maybe 2 years, and that's probably including this year. So I wouldn't be super surprised to see the Braves sell at the deadline, even if they're in the position that they're in now.
Fair enough.
Just because if they're getting ready for the future, then they're going to be building.
Okay. But I mean, I think let's just wait on even the deadline. Like, teams are still. I feel like teams are finally starting to figure themselves out, and we'll see like more separation in the next like month, and we'll finally be able to actually tell where what teams will be sellers, what teams will be buyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, we're getting to the point in the baseball season where we will start to know by the end of the month, like, what is the trajectory for this team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, that's all I have so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on the East of baseball.
Yep. I guess next week we'll look at the Central.
Next week we'll do the Central. Yay for you.
No, not yay for me because
I know.
Yeah.
That was a complete joke.
Speaking of grounded, yeah. Although we are building for the future because
aren't you always?
No, trust me, no. Building for the future implies that we at some point sign somebody, which we did not do this past offseason. We did not sign anyone to a major league deal.
Oh. Okay.
But the MLB draft started Monday night, and our first 3 picks are Travis Swaggerty, Gunnar Hoglund, and Braxton Ashcraft, which just based on names are going to be superstars. I mean, a guy with the name Swaggerty, a guy with the first name Gunnar, and Braxton. Those are just baseball names if there ever was any. So, 10 years from now, the Pirates might make it back to a wild card spot. I'm very excited.
Yeah, but you gotta wait a decade for that to happen.
Sean, I waited 2 decades just for a damn winning season, so.
I mean, you did choose this team.
Well, yeah, I did. Still, not my worst decision in life.
Oh, boy.
Hey, they've had their chances.
Yeah, and they've had some good players. Like, they've been fun to watch every once in a while. Every couple of seasons in between.
Yeah. Even years where they didn't have the winning season they should promise, it was fun to watch for a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, you didn't choose the
Can't
worst
wait.
team
Can't
to
wait.
follow.
Can't wait to get back to the next 2011, by the way. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
Yep.
It'll happen when I'm like 40 years old.
I hope you can wait.
Don't really have a choice, do I?
True.
Alright, you got anything else?
No. So next week we will be wrapping up the NHL playoffs, so should be done by that time. The MLB
NBA
playoffs, the
MLB
NBA
playoffs
that will have been done by that time also.
Yeah,
And,
that's probably certain to be.
and we'll be talking about the Central of the MLB.
Yep. So, catch you guys next week.